The restaurant was softly lit, the kind of place where quiet conversation should have flowed easily. But as I sat across from him, a silence stretched between us. Not the comfortable kind, but one heavy with unspoken thoughts. He wasn't saying much, and when he did, his honesty was sharp and raw, almost too much to handle. I wanted to reach through that silence, to understand him better, but instead, I felt a distance growing, a wall quietly rising between us. It wasn't just the date. It was the way he approached everything, with deep reflection, intense honesty, and a mind that never stopped turning. He analyzed feelings, motivations, even the mundane, but sometimes that depth created an invisible barrier. I could sense that beneath his words was a yearning for connection, yet that same yearning was tangled with the fear of being misunderstood or judged. This moment stayed with me long after the check was paid, and we parted ways. Why is it that people who think deeply, who feel things intensely, so often end up alone, especially in matters of the heart? Why does the very thing that makes them so rich inside sometimes push others away? It's a tension between wanting to be truly known and the risk that being known means being rejected. As someone who has navigated these silent spaces, I've come to see that this question isn't just about relationships. It's about what it means to be human, to crave connection while carrying the weight of our inner worlds. Why do deep thinkers so often find themselves standing on the outside looking in, especially when love is supposed to be a bridge, not a barrier? The paradox of depth. Why thinking deeply feels like a curse. In today's society, there is a clear preference for surface charm, ease, and conformity in relationships. People tend to gravitate toward those who are pleasant, agreeable, and effortlessly relatable. Social interactions often prioritize lightheartedness and smooth exchanges over challenging or uncomfortable truths. This preference makes sense in many ways. Surface-level conversations are less taxing and help maintain social harmony. Conformity creates a predictable rhythm in social groups, reinforcing a sense of belonging and reducing friction. Charm and ease become social currencies, valued for their ability to smooth over complexities and keep relationships comfortable. In stark contrast, the experience of a deep thinker is markedly different. Deep thinkers tend to notice the hidden layers beneath everyday interactions, unspoken emotions, conflicting motives, and uncomfortable realities others often ignore. They ask difficult questions that disrupt social scripts, probing topics others might avoid. This tendency to seek underlying truths and challenge norms can be seen as unsettling or threatening to those who prefer simpler, more surface-level exchanges. Instead of blending in, deep thinkers often stand out as different, intimidating, or too much for casual social settings. This difference creates a paradox. The deeper one thinks and understands, the more isolated one can feel. The wisdom that comes with profound insight often alienates deep thinkers from the very social circles that value ease and conformity. Their inclination to question and resist superficiality can lead to loneliness, as others may shy away from the discomfort they bring. This loneliness is the paradox of wisdom. While deep thinking enriches one's understanding of the world, it can simultaneously create distance from others who prefer to stay on the surface. Thus, the gift of depth can sometimes feel like a curse, marked by isolation in a world that prizes lightness over substance. Kierkegaard and the crowd, the fear of authenticity. Søren Kierkegaard, the Danish philosopher, introduced the notion of the crowd as a faceless, anonymous mass that prefers comfort, conformity, and the avoidance of individual responsibility. For Kierkegaard, the crowd represents a collective mentality that suppresses individuality, encouraging people to blend in rather than stand out. This crowd values social harmony and safety above authenticity, promoting a homogenized existence where genuine selfhood is sacrificed for acceptance. Deep thinkers, by contrast, resist the crowd's scripts and expectations. They question the unexamined norms and refuse to settle for superficial living. Their commitment to authenticity requires a constant struggle against the pressures to conform. This refusal to accept easy answers and crowd-approved behaviors inevitably isolates them. In rejecting the collective mindset, deep thinkers become outsiders, often misunderstood or mistrusted because they disrupt the comfortable narratives that society prefers. This rejection threatens social norms because it challenges the foundations upon which many social interactions are built. The crowd depends on predictability, shared values, and unquestioned assumptions. Deep thinkers' refusal to play along can make them appear unreadable, unsettling, or even dangerous. In social and romantic contexts, this translates into an aura of unpredictability that can provoke anxiety or fear. Instead of fitting neatly into familiar roles, deep thinkers demand genuine engagement, emotional risk, and vulnerability, qualities the crowd often avoids. In today's dating culture, Kierkegaard's critique resonates strongly. There is a widespread preference for safety over truth, surface-level connection over deep substance. Dating apps, small talk, and curated online personas all reflect a desire to minimize risk and maintain social comfort. Authenticity, the willingness to be seen in all one's complexity and contradiction, is often sidelined. Just as Kierkegaard's deep thinkers stand apart from the crowd, those seeking authentic connections frequently find themselves at odds with the prevailing norms of modern romance, which prioritize ease and approval over existential honesty. Ultimately, Kierkegaard's concept of the crowd reveals a fundamental tension between the desire to belong and the demand for authentic selfhood, a tension that continues to shape the challenges of contemporary social and romantic life. Women and the fear of depth, evolutionary and cultural factors. The fear or rejection of deep thinkers by some women can be better understood through the lens of evolutionary psychology and cultural conditioning. From an evolutionary standpoint, women have historically prioritized emotional safety, predictability, and stability in relationships. These priorities are deeply rooted in the need to protect offspring and ensure reliable support, fostering environments where nurturing and consistent emotional responses are paramount. Deep thinkers, by contrast, often challenge emotional predictability and comfort, leading to a perceived threat to this stability. Deep thinkers tend to reject superficial interactions, avoiding social games, manipulations, or the mere pursuit of approval. Their commitment to authenticity and truth-seeking can create discomfort for those who rely on social harmony and easy emotional accessibility. This refusal to offer simple reassurance or quick fixes means that women seeking emotional safety may find deep thinkers unsettling, as the usual pathways to connection, such as shared norms, validation, or convenience, are disrupted. Culturally, many societies frame relationships as spaces of ease, convenience, and mutual emotional caretaking. The expectation is often that partners provide comfort, reassurance, and affirmation without demanding intense self-examination or enduring difficult conversations. Deep thinkers, however, crave intellectual and emotional challenge, often pushing themselves and others toward uncomfortable truths rather than avoiding them. This dynamic can clash with culturally conditioned relationship norms, where discomfort is often avoided rather than embraced. Ultimately, the fear of depth among women may stem less from a personal aversion and more from evolutionary and cultural pressures valuing stability and emotional security. The deep thinker's insistence on truth, challenge, and authenticity can appear threatening, making these individuals seem harder to relate to or less safe in a traditional emotional sense. Recognizing these underlying factors can help foster greater understanding and bridge the gap between depth and comfort in relationships. The cost of authenticity: isolation, misunderstanding, and despair. For deep thinkers, those who relentlessly probe the depths of existence, identity, and meaning, the journey toward authenticity often carries a profound emotional and spiritual toll. The cost of staying true to oneself, of refusing to water down complexity for the sake of social acceptance, can be a quiet, insidious form of suffering. It is here that the quiet death of the self takes place, a slow erosion of identity when one is forced to conform, to mask inner truths, and to prioritize acceptance over authenticity. This death is not marked by outward drama, but by a subtle fading, a diminishing of the unique self into a socially palatable mask. Kierkegaard's concept of the sickness unto death provides a poignant framework to understand this existential despair. According to Kierkegaard, despair is the sickness of the spirit, arising from a failure to become the self one is meant to be. When deep thinkers suppress their inner complexity to fit societal molds, they fall into despair, a disconnection from their true self that can feel like a spiritual death. The pain of this condition is compounded by the frequent misunderstanding they endure. Often labeled as too intense, cold, or aloof, deep thinkers face a social penalty for their depth. Their profound reflections and emotional subtleties can be misread as detachment or difficulty, alienating them from peers who may prefer lighter, more surface-level interactions. This misunderstanding fosters isolation, reinforcing the pressure to silence or simplify their inner worlds just to be accepted. Societal pressures, in turn, condition deep thinkers to mute their voices. The cultural premium on easy sociability, cheerfulness, and conformity creates a hostile environment for authenticity that challenges these norms. Over time, this leads to self-censorship and withdrawal, perpetuating the cycle of isolation and despair. The deep thinker's struggle becomes one of survival, balancing the hunger for genuine expression with the human need for belonging. In the end, the cost of authenticity is both a burden and a testament to courage. To remain true to oneself amidst misunderstanding and alienation is a quiet rebellion against the slow death of the self, a fight to reclaim identity and spiritual wholeness, despite the existential despair that threatens to engulf it. The modern dating game: surface versus substance. Today's dating culture is often defined by curated profiles, rehearsed conversations, and strategic interactions. Apps encourage users to present their best selves through carefully selected photos and polished bios, turning the search for connection into a performance. Messages are crafted with calculated timing and wording, aimed more at impressing than expressing genuine feelings. This environment fosters a game-like approach where success is measured by matches and likes, rather than meaningful engagement. Deep thinkers frequently find this landscape empty, boring, or even manipulative. The relentless focus on surface-level attributes and scripted exchanges leaves little room for authentic vulnerability or spontaneous connection. For them, conversations devoid of depth feel like shallow performances lacking substance. The pretense behind interactions can breed cynicism, as the motives behind each move, whether to impress, secure validation, or outmaneuver competition, overshadow genuine curiosity or emotional honesty. Yet, many deep thinkers choose to refuse participation in this performative dating game. Their reluctance to engage in superficial tactics often results in loneliness and fewer romantic encounters. However, this solitude is not merely a byproduct of social failure, but a conscious trade-off to preserve authenticity. They prioritize truth over theatrics, valuing emotional integrity over fleeting attention. This choice reflects a commitment to relationships grounded in real understanding rather than a facade maintained for social approval. Ultimately, the divide between seeking love as performance and seeking love as truth marks the heart of the modern dating dilemma. Performance-based dating treats love as a prize won through manipulation and image control, while truth-based dating embraces vulnerability, unpredictability, and genuine connection. The former may yield momentary thrills, but the latter holds the promise of lasting intimacy and fulfillment, qualities that deep thinkers cherish even at the cost of loneliness. The leap of faith. Kierkegaard's call to authentic selfhood. Søren Kierkegaard, often regarded as the father of existentialism, introduced the profound idea of the leap of faith as a crucial step toward authentic selfhood. This leap is not a simple act of belief, but a courageous choice to embrace one's true self, even when it means diverging from societal norms and the comforting embrace of belonging. Kierkegaard's call challenges individuals to prioritize authenticity over conformity, urging them to reject superficial roles and the masks imposed by social expectations. The leap of faith demands a painful but necessary sacrifice. To live authentically is to relinquish the desire for universal approval and the safety found in collective identity. It involves shedding the facades that people often wear to fit in, whether they be social roles, habitual behaviors, or even inherited values. This process can be deeply isolating, as it positions the individual against the prevailing currents of society. Kierkegaard recognized that such a journey is not easy. It requires bravery and a willingness to face solitude without the usual crutches of external validation. Yet, this solitude should not be mistaken for failure or alienation. For Kierkegaard, standing alone is a powerful act of integrity. The individual who embraces solitude is not a lonely outcast, but a person who has found strength in self-awareness and truth. The solitude that accompanies the leap of faith is a space of freedom, where one can cultivate inner coherence and live in accordance with one's deepest convictions. Ultimately, Kierkegaard's philosophy suggests that true selfhood demands this sacrifice of comfort, acceptance, and certainty. It calls for a leap into the unknown, a conscious decision to live authentically despite the risk of alienation. This leap, difficult though it may be, is the pathway to a genuine and meaningful existence. Conclusion: the gift and burden of depth. Depth is a double-edged sword. It can isolate, carving out spaces where few dare to follow, yet it also offers freedom, the freedom to see oneself and the world with unflinching clarity. To possess depth is to carry a gift that can feel like a burden, the gift of insight, the burden of loneliness. Those who dwell beneath the surface often find that most prefer the comforting shallows. But true freedom comes from embracing what is real, even when it isolates us. There is profound value in being truly seen. To be seen, not as a mask or a projection, but in all our complexity, can be terrifying. It can push others away, or it can invite them to step closer into a rare intimacy. Yet, it is this fearless visibility that nurtures authentic connection. Depth does not reject love. Rather, it demands a love that transcends illusion, a love willing to meet us in our entirety, light and shadow alike. Deep thinkers are not cynics hiding from affection. They are seekers of a truer kind of love. They long for bonds that honor the full spectrum of human experience, where vulnerability is met with understanding, not dismissal. This is the love that endures beyond surface-level attraction, beyond easy answers. Choosing truth is perhaps the bravest act of all. It requires courage to face the rawness of existence and still hold open one's heart. In this choice lies the possibility of real connection. Rare, yes, but profound and transformative. So, as you move forward, ask yourself, what truths are you willing to live by, even if they set you apart? And in choosing those truths, what kind of connection might you invite into your life?